imagine where a single yam could feed a family for a week. That same yam will withstand drought and prevent malnutrition, all designed by Nigerian minds like you sitting here. This is what we want to talk about today, using artificial intelligence in agriculture to be able to produce these future-ready crops. In 2024, we have about 295 million people worldwide facing acute food insecurity. The last presentation explained what food insecurity or food security is to us, so we have an idea of what food insecurity is. And in 2025, that figure is about 231 million. And Nigeria is one of the greatest contributors to these people at risk. Nigeria is blessed with about 40% of our land being arable. Yet, 46 million Nigerians live on degraded land that produces little food. So our future is not just in the soil. We have to do something else to be able to change this situation. Then we also mentioned here today how our population is growing rapidly and is driving up demand for our food crops, and how climate change is affecting the yield of our food crops, even on this our increasingly degraded arable land. So this is the challenge before us today, and how can we use artificial intelligence to solve this? Now, traditional breeding has been very, very effective over the years. Very, very effective over the years. But if it did not have limitations, we wouldn't have been talking about genetically modified organisms to replace to fasten some of the things that traditional breeding has been doing. And that is why we came up with GMOs. And there are a lot of controversies surrounding GMOs. Controversies we will not want to go into at this moment. But how can we do what is even better than what GMOs are doing, and at a shorter time, faster speed, better yield, and without controversy? That is what we'll be discussing today. So look at imagine this cell, the plant cell. It has over 30,000 genes. These 30,000 genes, they are responsible for nutrient production, for response to stress, could be abiotic stress or biotic stress, disease resistance, and so many things. All these things are coded for by the genes or in the cell. Now, we usually, when we talk about plants and genetics, we confine ourselves to talking about genes alone. But plant is not just about genes. Plant is a factory for production of several chemicals. So we have to also talk about the biochemical pathways that are within the plants. And all this knowledge can be studied, and machine learning can be used to be able to develop a data set of all this knowledge and be able to give us predictions that are very, very fast and are very, very precise. So that is what the artificial intelligence can do for us. So algorithms can be developed to pinpoint, edit for drought tolerance, pest resistance, and higher nutrition, for instance. So what is the approach? To collect extensive data of plant genetics and traits, which we already have. To use AI algorithms to analyze the genetic information, to select optimal plant traits for breeding programs. So first we collect data, we simulate using AI algorithms to analyze this information. Then we do editing to select the optimal plant traits for breeding program. Then we do field test evaluation to see the effectiveness of what we have been able to develop in the lab, in the dry lab, not wet lab, in the dry lab. So how do we do this? Genetic mapping. Use AI for identifying critical traits in crop genetics for improvement. We use AI to model yield projections. We use AI to assist in detecting and enhancing genetic resistance to plant diseases. In fact, there was a situation where just one enzyme, the gene responsible for one enzyme in a tomato, was tweaked, and it led to development of resistance to 5 different diseases, just the tweak of one enzyme. So these are things that we are capable of doing using the artificial intelligence. And then utilize AI for bioengineering crops with improved nutritional profiles, and we simulate crop performance for evaluating genetic modification even before trials. All these things are done in the lab before we even go for trials. So Nigeria has a secret weapon which we have not been using. This secret weapon is that we have a genetic gold mine in Nigeria. Nigeria has an unmatched crop diversity throughout the world. Our crop diversity is very, very vast. Nigerian yams alone hold more genetic variation than all North American corn varieties put together. This is a gold mine that we have not been tapping into. Also, I think it was the keynote speech that mentioned the fact that we've been doing plant breeding from ages before now without knowing that we are doing plant breeding. So also, our farmers have been doing what we are discussing about, using artificial intelligence, even though in their time it's native intelligence, to be able to do these things. But now we are going to simulate and make it faster, using the knowledge base that our farmers already have. And we know that institutions like IITA and NAGRA maintain hundreds of Nigerian land races ready for AI-powered improvements. So we already have the data. This data is a gold mine. And centuries of farmer choices function as living algorithms. If we pair that with wisdom, if we pair that wisdom with AI and Nigerian, we will gain about 20 years lead in climate-ready crops over every other country in the world. So we have the genetic diversity. We also have the scientists who are very, very good, and we have a very tech-savvy generation. Most of the population of Nigeria is in the youth category, and most of them are tech-savvy. So when you combine these three things, we have the capacity to lead the world in this technology I'm talking about. So I mentioned before about this tomato, that just the edit of one enzyme, the gene responsible for one enzyme, led to disease resistance to 5 different diseases, and it improved yield and everything. So these are things that AI can help us to do. And it was AI that was able to predict what to tweak, and it was done in the lab. So like we've mentioned before, we have a very large diversity of genetic, our genetic base is highly diverse, and it's something that we must make use of. Talking about yams, cassava, millets, a lot of them, we have very diverse varieties. So let's get to the meat of the discussion today. So what are the breakthrough innovations that AI can power to improve plant breeding? One is accelerated genotype-phenotype prediction. Traditionally, it takes several years to be able to link plant genotype to observable traits and then field trials to be able to get a stable new variety. But with AI model, we can shrink this 2 to 7 years field cycle to months So imagine tailoring a Nigerian sorghum for our Sahel zones in half the time as will have been done by traditional breeding. If we tailor our sorghum to be able to withstand drought, to be able to withstand high temperature, and so many things. And we can do this using artificial intelligence. And another thing is using machine learning for phytochemical pattern recognition. Plants produce numerous phytochemicals. Phytochemicals such as nutrients, phytochemicals such as antioxidants, and things that can resist pests and fight diseases. Now, these are resident data in the plant itself. And we can use artificial intelligence to be able to sift through all the data about these things that is existing. After sifting through the data, we can predict where we have drought tolerance in the same variety, in the same species. There's drought tolerance in this one. This one can be able to withstand high temperature. This one does not need much water, and so many things together. And you bring all those traits within the same variety together to biosynthetically engineer a new crop variety in the lab. And then you can go to planting. So this is what artificial intelligence can do for us. Then bioinformatics, gene discovery, of course, that's just what I've just explained, using computational tools to find genes linked to specific traits. Then genomic screen flag cassava genes that caused blight losses by 30% in Brazil recently. Then another important thing is data-driven synthetic biology, which I've also explained. We have data from everywhere, and we can now collect them and synthetically produce a new variety in the lab that can now take to the field. Now, this is how the synthetic biology workflow will happen. The first step is data collection. Then biochemical pathway simulation. Like I've said before, most of the time we rely or we confine ourselves to discussing genes. But the plant is not just about genes. The plant also about a lot of biochemical pathways that take place. Now, we do not always, genes, the presence of one certain gene does not always lead to the presence of some proteomes, because there are some epigenetic factors that either upregulate or downregulate the expression of certain genes. So, we should not just confine ourselves to the presence or absence of certain genes. We should also concern ourselves with biochemical pathways that happens, and this AI simulation can help us to do. Then the synthetic biology design, the third stage, when you have gotten all the traits you are looking for in the same variety, and you are able to synthetically bring all of them together to create a new variety. Then after that, we have field implementation and monitoring. Now, the thing I'm discussing, is it the same thing as GMOs? The answer is no. We've had a lot of concerns with GMO. And one of the concerns with GMO is that foreign genes are introduced into crops. And some people say it's unsafe. Like taking genes from Bacillus thuringiensis and introducing into corn. That is across species. Here, the fix here is that we are not going to take genes across species. Take genes within a species from different varieties into another variety. So we are not talking of genetic modification of bringing something from a different species. Even if it is from another species, it will be from a close species, like from potato to cassava. Like potato expresses a lot of vitamin beta carotene, which you can now take to cassava. This already we are eating potato. So we are not talking of distant varieties or taking from animal, frog to bring to plant. No. So it fixes that. Secondly, another concern that people have with GMOs is that there are hidden risks that could hurt us as humans that are taking it, or that may affect yield. That if you buy GMO, then you can't plant the next year and things like that. In this case, this concern is dealt with because the crop is virtually designed first. And all the steps for the virtual design is transparent, that you can see everything that was done from the beginning to the end. And we do a lot of simulations and trials in the lab before we take to the field. So that concern of hidden risk and hurt will have been dealt with. And I'm going to show us a demo in the course of this discussion to see how this thing is done. Then, like we said, one concern with GMO is that GMO processes are opaque, that people don't know what they did. You just bring new crop for us to plant. We don't know what you did. But in the case of this, it will be fully transparent. And it will use an open edit map flows, and every DNA change will be known to all the farmers. Then, lastly, another concern of GMO is that it may develop a monster plant that can disrupt the ecosystem. In this case of using AI, the focus is sustainability. And edits will be fine-tuned existing pathways to mimic natural evolution. And trials will be done extensively before going into the lab, into the field for trial. So this fixes all the concerns raised by GMOs. So let me show us some demonstration, a live demo. This is me trying to develop is AI super crop designer for designing climate-ready yam varieties in real time. Designing climate-ready yam varieties in real time. So what are the things that we want in our yam varieties that we should design? And I'm going to run a simulation for us to see. If I click on Start AI and Analysis, you can see identifying relevant genes, mapping biochemical networks, analyzing Taraba-wide varieties, predicting optimal combination, validating supercrop. It has finished the processing of the pipeline. Now let's see the result. About 500 yam varieties were analyzed. The information for 500 yam varieties must have been fed into the data set originally before we start this. So about 500 yam varieties have been analyzed. About 12,000 genes have been analyzed. And about 2,500 biochemical networks have also been analyzed. And what have we developed? A super crop that can withstand 45-degree centigrade temperature, that has protein content of up to 60%, that have increased the protein content of the yam up to 60%. Remember I told you initially that you should imagine one yam that feeds a whole family for a week. So that yam is not just carbohydrates, providing all the nutrients. So here, we have improved the protein content by 60%. Then, pest resistance, we have targeted 3 pest species, develop resistance. This yam variety has resistance to them. Then the water efficiency, it uses 40% less water. So this super crop design is complete. We have Dysphoria rotunata plus Taraba white traits. Analysis 3 hours versus this. To be able to achieve this will have taken about 25 years to be able to achieve this. And this has been done in hours. And this crop, if it goes to the field, is ready for the 2030 climate conditions. And What is the impact? Climate resilient food security. This is one demo. I'll show you another demo that I developed. For cassava, AI cassava enhancement simulator. Here we want to boost vitamin A in the cassava. Let's start the simulation. It's looking at all the genomic input and processing. That's analyzing cassava genome, scanning sweet potato pathways. We are taking phytoin from sweet potato and bringing into cassava. Identifying key enzymes, simulating phytoin synthase, predicting metabolic impact, validating virtual design. Now what have we arrived at? The vitamin A pathway, giving all this data. So what have we done? 150% increase in enzyme activity, 22.3 milligram beta carotene per 100 gram. This is enormous. And the simulation results, vitamin A content 1 milligram in the original. In the simulated crop will be about 8.4 milligram. That's about 8 times increase. The yield impact, no yield loss detected as a result of all these things we did. I think he was the one that was mentioning the fact that we will upregulate one thing. It will lead to, like he discussed mango, that will increase the size, but the number of fruit it produces may not be able to be, may not match what the wild variety will produce. So, but in this case, no yield loss detected. Metabolic stability. Highly stable pathway, about 98.5%. High potential for cassava regions in Nigeria. So the simulation is complete, 10 times vitamin A boost achieved, 0 yield loss predicted, stable metabolic pathway, ready for field trials, and the simulation time is 15 minutes. What are the lives that this will impact? About 20 million lives, because we'll not only consume it here, we'll be able to export it. And in doing so, the economic impact will be about $2 billion US. So let's get back to our discussion. So I have a vision of us having the African Bio-AI Consortium across Nigeria. Let it be one of the things that will come out of this conference, where we'll have an African Bio-AI Consortium across the country, of course led by Nigeria. And it will have 4 research hub locations in Zaria, and the crop focus will be grains, millet, and sorghum. In Ibadan, root crops, yam, cassava. Nsuka, legumes, cowpea, bambara. And Mina will be the center, the headquarters, where everything is put together. And between now and the year 2035, we'll be able to develop bio-AI crops that can feed the world. And Nigeria will lead Africa in this. So this is my vision for this scientific conference. Now, there's a quick insider knowledge I want to share with us before we go to them. And that is that this thing we are discussing is not something that is unachievable. It is very, very achievable. The first insider knowledge is that all these AI tools I'm talking about are open source. You do not need to spend so much money. They are all open source. AI facilities like TensorFlow, AI tools like TensorFlow, AlphaFold, they are open AI. It costs nothing. What it requires from us is vision, not money. And our limitation is how wide we can envision this thing. It's not about how much money we need. The second thing is that the smartphone penetration in Nigeria is very, very high. We have about 140 million smartphone users in Nigeria as of today. That means that every farmer can be a contributor to this AI consortium we are discussing, because they have the smartphone and they can all support this thing. And every farmer will be able to interpret and analyze data on a smartphone. We already have the smartphone penetration. We also have the genetic head start. Like I said before, we have one of the, we are a genetic hotspot in the world and one of the best on earth. We have enough problem in Nigeria to be able to envision how to solve them. We have enough problem already and we can envision how to solve them. So the future vision is that by 2035, we'll be able to solve problem and be able to feed 500 million people across the world. And this is doable. So what's my call to action? As we leave this conference, there are things I want you to do. Things that you don't need the distant future to do. But from today, I want you today, for today, download an AI tool. Everybody here, download an AI tool. You can start with R or Python and run one crop data set from today. This month, I want you to study a traditional variety, say a drought-tolerant millet, and map it straight with AI. This year, I want you to partner with a data scientist. Every breeder needs a tech ally. Every plant breeder needs a tech ally. So this year, partner with a data scientist. This decade, I want you to lead a bio-AI project for Nigerian Crop Challenge. And in your lifetime, as plant breeders, I want you to mentor the next generation. So this is my call to action for plant breeders today. And finally, I want to ask us to do one thing. Please, can you close your eye, please? And picture Nigeria in 2035. Close your eye. Your eyes are open. I want you to picture Nigeria in 2035. Where Sokoto farmers grow millet that laughs at 50 degrees centigrade. If it sees 50 degrees centigrade, to start laughing that this is nothing. Where Benue yams pack more proteins than beef. Where Cross River cassava ends malnutrition problem in Nigeria. Where AI design nutrition is a solution. Where our universities rival MIT. This is not a pipe dream. This is our destiny.